My name is Lash, and my company is called Presto Avenue Designs.com. I make quilt patterns and I make quilts and quilt patterns, but that's not why we're doing this little segment today. This is my husband, Shelly Lash, and he does a lot of helpful work in the IT department for my company. But the reason that we are here today is I thought some of you might be interested in a little tradition that we have in our family, and he knows how to do this so well, so I thought I would ask him some questions and interview him as far as how we do this tradition. Our tradition is a video slideshow, and every year we make a video slideshow for our family, and we started it several years ago, but we put in lots of pictures and music, and we give everyone in the family a video to take home at Christmas time, and we show it at Christmas time. They can take their own home, and then the grandkids can enjoy seeing family members and Shelly and I while we still are in our right minds. So, let's get started. I have a few questions, and I'm going to let Shelly tell you exactly all he knows about making one of these video slideshows, so that if you want to do it, it's something that you could try to do too. All right, the first question. What made you decide to do a slideshow video long ago?
Long ago, I think the thing that interested me as far back as I can remember was seeing something that someone else had made. And this goes back when our kids were still young. I don't even remember exactly what it was. It was someone in the family, but there was one picture of myself that was in that video, and I thought how good it made me feel that they had decided to include me among many of the other pictures. And so the thought was always there, I guess, and it was just kind of dormant till.
So which one was the very first one that you remember making?
The first video that I remember making, I believe, was at the birth of our oldest granddaughter, Rachel. And I had taken, you remember, it was kind of a family affair because most of us were there. And I had my camera and I took lots of pictures. And somewhere along the line I thought that it would be kind of nice just to commemorate her birthday with a little slideshow presentation. So I gathered up the pictures and put them together and had those little videos, probably about 6 or 7 minutes long. And after that I kind of caught the fever, I guess.
And Rachel is now just turned 13, so we've been enjoying Rachel and all of the grandchildren that came after Rachel, and each one has a special place in different videos. How many video slideshows have you made so far? Do you know?
I think I've made about an even dozen, 12 or 13. And after the one I made for Rachel, the next grandchild, the granddaughter that came along, was Olivia, and I really didn't get very many pictures, and her dad made one for her, so I let that one pass. But then when Allie came along, Elizabeth, I made a little video for her. And then the grandkids just kept coming and coming and coming, and I really couldn't keep up with them. So eventually I just decided to integrate that with our family videos that we have each Christmas. So I kind of have a record of each one of the grandkids and their, when they were born, it's included in each one.
the original slideshow videos were pretty short. They were like 5 minutes, maybe 5 or 6 minutes. Rachel's and Olivia's.
And I did one for Haley too. And they were just, I think, one song basically, or two songs that I included.
So now I really love the video business, or this slideshow video thing that we do. So when do you start thinking and planning, maybe the original planning for like next year's video? When will you start that? Have you started that already?
I usually, at least in my mind, start planning almost as soon as I complete whatever current project is that I'm working on, because I start getting ideas, or maybe there were some songs that I wanted to use in my current project that I did not use for whatever reason. And so I kind of stick it on the shelf and keep it in mind for the next one.
Okay. What's the first thing you do when you actually begin the work?
Usually when I actually begin the work is I go through an organization process of gathering up my pictures, and by the time I'm ready to start, I usually have a pretty good idea of the music that I'm going to use. And part of that is in the planning that starts the day that I finish the other one, because when I do have some songs and I'm taking the pictures, I'm trying to keep in the back of my mind how these photographs might fit in with some of the music that I have. So it's kind of an ongoing process, I guess, as far as the planning. But once I'm ready to start, I gather up my music, I organize my photos, and I just go to work on it.
When you're gathering your music, what do you consider? What kind of music do you try to use?
The music, I try to get music that is somewhat contemporary. We've used some oldie tunes for different things. I try to pick music that is happy, that's upbeat, that fits with the mood of the pictures, or whatever emotion that I think exists in those photographs that I can best pair up with the music. So sometimes the music is a little slow and it may be kind of sad, but just depends on the occasion.
Well, and he does have some help with the music gathering. I often will think of some possible songs to supplement, or sometimes we will happen to hear a song on a movie or something, and that might be a possibility for the next video.
And some of the grandkids are getting in on the act too, because they'll find a song and say, hey, I think maybe we should use this one in the next video. And I think that I have listened to them and used a couple of their tunes that they've suggested.
How many photos do you usually use?
Generally, there's in the neighborhood of about 500 photographs. It could be a little bit more, and there are also some videos. I try to take videos at certain occasions so that I can sprinkle them in and kind of mix things up a little bit. But it's about 500, I guess, and that translates into about a 30 to 35 minute video.
Usually when we have a family get together of any kind, either Shelly or I grab our camera and try to get, especially the grandkids, at their moments when they're just doing whatever goofy thing they're doing, and so they like to come back, or we like to come back and see them later. How long does it usually take you?
Usually I actually start work on the keyboard on my computer around about the 1st of October, or maybe mid-October. And you know, the length of time varies because I can spend 6 or 8 hours in a day, and then I might let it go for a few days. And even when I get started that early, sometimes I find myself scrambling about the week before Christmas. But it's easily 2 months.
Okay. Any advice on which pictures that you think work best? Or when you take videos, any advice on how you should, let's say, try to take your videos?
Well, the kind of pictures that I prefer horizontal or landscape mode photographs. That does not mean that I put landscapes in the video, because that's not true. Our video is all people. It's all kids. It's all grandkids. And so I like to capture pictures that are close, but not too close that it gives me a little room to play with them, because I'm able to put some motion in the pictures. I can zoom in or zoom out and pan to the left or pan to the right or up, depending on what the content of the picture is and what I really want to focus on. But I'm always trying to get what I think is that nearly perfect shot where I can have plenty of room to play around with it.
Do you think that anyone who would like to do this, do you need to have a very expensive camera or expensive equipment? Can you use your cell phone?
Yeah, you really don't. All you need is a decent camera, and it does not have to be an expensive Nikon or a upper end Canon or anything like that. You can easily do it with the phone that's on your, the camera that's on your phone. I have an iPhone, and it takes excellent photographs. And I've seen some little videos that other people have put together just with iPhone pictures, and they turn out great.
So what is the most difficult part of this endeavor?
I think for me the most difficult part is having enough photographs that I can give everybody their fair share of exposure. We have 11 grandkids, and so I want to make sure that everybody has as close to the same number of photographs in there as I can get. Unfortunately, I'm not always able to do that because of different family situations. We don't always have, some of the grandkids around to get very many photographs. Then what I do is I kind of go out and steal them, because I'll go out to Facebook or someplace like that where I find pictures that their parents have taken or somebody else, and I'll steal them and stick them in the show. Early on when I did this, I took a lot of pride, I think, in using pictures that I took or that we took. And I guess it sounds kind of vain, but I was wanting to show off some photography skills, and I was using the grandkids to do it. And then somewhere along the line I decided that that's not really the way that it should be done. And when I steal pictures that others have taken, I think it makes them feel good to see their photographs.
Yeah. I think too, there's just a lot of times when the parents will catch their kids unawares, and they can get great pictures, and so we wouldn't be able to always get the best pictures. What's the easiest part?
The easiest part's watching the final cut on Christmas Eve. When it's all done and everybody gathers around the TV, when we have our Christmas Eve get-together, all I have to do is sit back and watch. I guess the other easy part, or an enjoyable part, is as I'm building these things, I'm constantly watching and rewatching and adding pictures and fitting things in and moving them around, and every time I do it, I have to rewatch the whole thing. You have to, I mean, well, not the whole 30-minute video, but whatever segment for that song is. And that's one of the parts that's easy. I think it's one of the parts that I enjoy most. Part of the great thing about doing this is it's just not to show off photography skills. It's not just to entertain the family or anything like that, but it's just an act of love. And I think when I watch these things over and over again, I'm just constantly thinking about everybody that's in these pictures. And that's what makes it so easy.
It's a good family family building. I don't know, a good appreciation of family for everybody.
Well, and these I do take a lot of photographs. Maybe not as much now as I did a few years ago when the kids were younger, but over a year I accumulate hundreds and hundreds. I already said I use about 500 in there, and there's a lot that don't make the cut. Probably, I imagine maybe, I don't know, maybe 30% of the pictures I take make it to the video. And that number may be a little bit high. But if I didn't do that, my pictures would go on my computer and they would stay there, because I really don't have any way to show them. And sometimes, and I used to put things out on Facebook, but I really don't like to do that so much anymore. So this is a good way to preserve those pictures, and I know that when the kids take them home and the grandkids, at least after Christmas, they watch them over and over. Some of them take them in the cars with them, and they watch them on their video systems in their cars. And almost always, every time that they come over here, if they come over to spend the night or they're just here for a few hours, it won't be long before they're dragging out the old DVDs to watch the old the videos that we've done, and they just love to see themselves, you know, when they were babies or when they were growing up, and compared to how they look now.
So, if there was someone out there that would like to do something similar to this, make their own video, slideshow, what kind of software, what kind of equipment do you need to have? I know you started out with certain things and sort of gotten more equipment along the way. So what sort of software is necessary?
Well, I can tell you what I've used. There's all kinds of software packages out there to do these kind of things, and I'm not familiar with many of them at all, other than the ones that I've worked with. And when I first did this, I was using a PC running Windows, and I discovered that there was some software that was built into the system. I think it was called Movie Maker, and I used that, and it was great. It let me do a lot of really cool things with the videos. I learned how to, zoom on pictures and pan and give some movement to them. And then later I moved to an Apple computer, and the software built in, well, it's included with the system, it's called iMovie. I thought this was a real step up from what I've been used to working with, and that worked really well for me. But there were some limitations, and I eventually discovered something called Final Cut Pro, which is Apple's iMovie basically on steroids, because there are so many more things that you can do. It's a professional piece. It's my understanding that several years ago this package cost well over $2,000. Now it's offered through Apple for less than $300, I think. And there are a lot of add-on things that people want to get fancy or try, some whiz-bang kind of things. There are a lot of things available to add to it, but that's pretty much my experience. I think I've seen Josh do this with his iPhone. He takes his iPhone, iMovie works on your iPhone, gathers up his pictures, puts together a little video with a little music in the background, and does a really nice job. So there's all kinds of things available, and they're not hard to learn. And it doesn't matter, quality-wise. It really doesn't matter because the kids, everybody just loves to see the pictures and they like to see themselves, and they really don't care how fancy it is. I don't think.
Some of our oldest videos, the kids like just as well, even though they're not as carefully refined as the newer ones are, but kids don't care. They really enjoy it. And you don't have to be a computer programmer type to be able to make a basic video, because I was able to do it on the iMovie with a little bit of help, but I was able to make a couple of small things myself and found that it was quite fun to do. And so you don't have to be a computer programmer. You could do this yourself. We've already talked about how we share the video with the family. We invite everyone over Christmas Eve, and then we sit down and we watch that year's video. And everyone seems to really like it, and then they like it through the year too. Do you personally have any favorite parts of any videos that you liked?
I don't. That's hard to say. Every year when I do one, and it's new, and I think, I really like this. This is really great, and I think this might be my favorite. But then when I look back on some of the older ones, I see some of the things I did. I think I don't know. I think maybe one of them, if I can keep a straight face here, one of my favorites, I think, one that I think had maybe the greatest impact on everybody was the one that I did to commemorate your mother after she passed away. And when we were at the cemetery, of course, she was a veteran from World War II, and so there was a group there from the local Legion post, and they came out, they played taps, and I just happened to think to pull my phone out, and I videotaped everything that was going on, and not knowing what I was going to do with it, but anyway, I decided to use that in the family video that year, and I found some old family pictures of yours, and I integrated them, and faded them in, faded them out, did all kinds of neat things, and everybody was just wowed.
Yep. I think that was one of my favorite ones. I also liked when we did the stressed out video. Oftentimes at the end of each video we'll have a little funny thing of some what we called outtakes originally, but a couple of years ago we used the song Stressed Out, and we had the kids put on crazy hats and sing along, or sort of mimic that song, and that one was really cute, and they still like to see that one again because Grandpa and Grandma are acting pretty goofy in that one. Do you foresee any difficulties in the future with our videos?
Well, the thing that's been kind of gnawing on my mind lately is the fact that our grandkids and our kids' families are growing up, and they're getting involved in school activities, they're getting involved in some of their sports activities, and we're not able to get together as often as we used to for family game nights, or even birthdays now are kind of not as big of a deal as it was when they were little and we could get so many pictures. So that's kind of my concern, and I guess I'll just have to start stealing more pictures as we go along, or else, have some goalie oldie kind of things to try to keep the tradition going on as long as possible. Sometimes I think I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this done this year, and then somebody will say, "Oh, you have to get it done. You have to get one done this year." So
they all love them.
So yeah, well, as long as I can move and breathe, I guess I'll. And then they may get back down to 5 or 6 minutes. I don't know, but we'll just see how it goes.
We always put them, or we usually put them on a DVD, and I don't know, with the change in electronics and things, we don't know about how long this technology will be around, and putting them on YouTube.
Well, that's a problem because all the music that I use is copyrighted, so I can't put them on Facebook, and I really don't want to put them on Facebook to share with the whole world. It would be easier to share with the family. So right now we just put them on DVD. And when it gets to the point that we can't do that anymore, then we'll use some of the other options. If everybody had an Apple computer, it would be easy. But they don't. But there are other ways that we can share them. But right now I just prefer to do it on the disc.
Do you have any final advice that you can think of for other people?
The only advice I would have would be if you feel like you have any desire to do this, then by all means do it. Pull out your computer, and if it's a Microsoft Windows computer, the stuff is there. If it's an Apple computer, the software's there. It's easy to learn. Just gather up your pictures and do it and play with it. And but don't have any regrets. Like, I wish that I would have done this. You don't have to be really good with a computer, like she said earlier. I retired from over 30 years of working in information technology. I always said that IT people, especially computer programmers, were the worst end users, and I can pretty much testify to that. And I think that most non-computer type people probably pick this up a lot easier than I did. So you do not have to be a computer tech person. You just have to want to do it. And I think the rewards will be great.
It's a good record of your family. And Shelly and I do not have, pardon me, we don't have any video, anything like this of our parents and of our family. We had slides when I was young. My dad took slides, and you had to watch them on a slideshow, a slide viewer, and all of that. But nothing like this. This where you actually hear the voices and see people dancing or doing crazy things. It's so much. It gives you such a better picture of what your family is like.
Every family needs at least one person that would be willing or interested to do something like this, just to, like she said, to document the family. My grandpa took lots of pictures. My dad took lots of pictures. He had one of those old 8mm film cameras, and he took a lot of movies of the family, especially his family. They're all gone now. I don't know what happened to them, and I would love to see them again. And so that just makes me want to preserve this and cheap copies. I have master copies, and hopefully some of these things will be around when my grandkids or grandparents themselves, and they can pull them out and show them.